The campaign has been excellent. It's more about nation building, and I'm sure the Minister might talk something about that. This team certainly has got the support of the nation, and they are very, very proud. I know that as a matter of fact, that they are very proud to represent our country. So from all of us within the CSA office, the President of Cricket South Africa, all the fans, all the supporters, our very best wishes to AB, Russell and the team. Godspeed.
Thank you very much for that, Harun. Before we open the floor for questions, I'd like to ask Mr. Malula to say a few words as well.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media. It is a great honor and privilege to be here. The President of Cricket South Africa, Mr. Chris Nenzani, the Deputy Minister, Mr. Gert Oosthuizen, members of the Cricket South Africa Board and the CEO, Mr. Harun Logat, the coach of our national team, the Proteas, Mr. Russell Domingo, the captain of the Proteas, AB de Villiers, and all the players, and the vice captain, Hashim Amla, the number 3 ranked one-day international team, and the team that resoundingly beat the West Indies 4-1. Don't be like sheikhs, don't count that. It's just a practice match, which is very positive, but don't take much out of it. Our national pride, the Proteas, sportsmen and women, fellow South Africans, we stand here on the brink of a titanic battle to be fought on faraway shores of Australia and New Zealand. The President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Jacob Zuma, released me from the Cabinet Lekgotla currently underway in Pretoria. The President commanded me to amplify his orders to you, the Protea troops, facing the crucible of war. The order from the Commander-in-Chief is simple: march on, you skillful warriors, with de Villiers in your vanguard, with your most vigorous team, your tried and tested coaching and support team, over 50 million people in your rear guard. We shall overcome the maelstrom thrown at us by any advancing opponent. This team, selected from our cream de la cream, represents a humdinger of a future social cohesive, not humdinger, cohesive, non-racial and united South Africa. The Proteas are a product of the visionary endeavors of Nelson Mandela, Steve Tshwete and Kepler Wessels, among others. You are going out there as Team South Africa, neither as tokens nor traitors. You constitute a body of united South Africa that is in a state of constant change. In your veins flows the blood of African warriors and victors who have tasted victory on countless occasions. Your 4-1 triumph over the West Indies in the recent test is indicative of an insurgent-spirited team whose mission is to fight to the bitter end. Our detractors and prophets of doom are eating their humble pie as the fruits of our transformation are yielding the desired result. Those recalcitrant elements in our society who sought to create a false dichotomy between excellence and transformation are burying their heads in the sand in shame. For they cannot fathom nor accept the altruism that excellence and transformation are intrinsically interconnected and necessarily mutually interrelated. Die feit dat die span bestaan uit 7 swart en 8 wit spanlede vereenwoordig 'n besondere mylpaal in die Protea geskiedenis. Who would have thought in the history of the nascent democratic South Africa that today we will be sending off a team comprised of 7 black players and 8 white players? This is indeed a phenomenal achievement. Cricket South Africa deserves a round of applause for this bold and visionary act. Continue with the good work, for it is because your deeds that men and women, children and adults, young and old, rural and urban dwellers, on whose shoulders and your support you shall be propelled to victory. We believe in you, the Protea team. You should have long captured the trophy as early as 1992 and 2007. Today we owe it to our people. Erase the sad memories of Bangladesh in 2011 and bring joy to motherland as you bowl and bat for the people of Mzansi in this championship. We will live and die with you. It is now or never. South Africa, your time has arrived to conquer the world stage of cricket. As Sang Zung once said, defeat belongs to the side that scores least in the temple of calculations before battle. Victory belongs to the side that scores most in the temple of calculations before the battle. Ek wil verseker dat die Proteas die volle ondersteuning van alle Suid-Afrikaners geniet en dat ons as almal trots op julle. Ambani kahle, bafana bakithi. God bless you and God bless Africa. Thank you very much.
Right now, we'll open the floor for questions. I know you guys have quite a bit, so please raise your hands and I'll find you guys and you can fire the questions to the top of the floor, top of the table. We'll start with Michael.
Russell, you've had a few days since the West Indies series. Have you had time to just digest and in your head who your final 11 is going to be for the warm-up games?
Afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Honourable Mr. Sports Minister. Regarding the starting 11 for the first game against Zimbabwe will very much depend on conditions. We're fortunate we've been to Hamilton a few months ago, so we've gained quite a bit of insight as to conditions there. But there's still quite a lot of time. There's still 2 warm-up games. There are a good few practice sessions. To settle on a final 11 now would probably be foolish. We've probably got an idea as to what it's going to be, but to settle on it and be blanket about it won't serve our cause at all.
Russell, the teams we're going to meet in our group, Pakistan, West Indies, India, they aren't exactly firing on all cylinders. Probably form-wise, the Proteas are the leading team in that group. Does that give you confidence that we'll sail through the initial stages, or could it be a banana peel of some sort?
No, there's no sailing when it comes to World Cup games. It's a one-off occasion. All 3 of those countries that you did mention, West Indies, Pakistan, India, they've all won a World Cup before. They know what it takes to win World Cup games. They know what it takes to win World Cup tournaments. We haven't done that yet, so there is absolutely no thought of complacency or easy games. Zimbabwe will need a lot of respect. We play Zimbabwe up front. They turned over Australia a few months ago, so if you're not on top of your game against any of those sides, you can come unstuck. So no thought to that whatsoever.
Russell Pashkamudlia for ANN7. You obviously had a good season here with the West Indies. A lot of those teams that you mentioned, India and England and stuff, have played in Australia. Do you see that as a challenging factor, or do you believe that the team are ready?
Look, I'll make no bones about it. I'd much rather be at home than spending 2 months in Australia prior to the World Cup. It's worked out great for us that we had 6 weeks there and then came back home. I think the home comforts are very important, particularly at a long event like this is going to be. So I'm sure it would have been very challenging for a side like India being there for so long and then another 2 months with the World Cup. So I'm pretty happy with the time we've spent at home and competing on our home shores, finalising a few things in our structure of play and now heading over there with a fresh attitude and a fresh mindset.
Russell, John Smythe, EWN Sport.
Where
the back here.
There we go.
Sorry. Quickly, please, a fitness update on Vernon Philander and also a second one, Mike Hussey. Are you going to be calling on him as a consultant?
I'll let Doc answer the Vernon Philander one before I talk about Mike Hussey.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're happy to say that the 3 concerns we had, respectively, Quinny, Vernon and JP, have all come through their fitness routines. Vernon was rested for the last game because of a tight groin, but he received physiotherapy in Cape Town and he's ready to go. So we're quite hopeful by the time we get to Christchurch before a warm-up game, we'll have a full squad to select from.
Regarding Mike Hussey, we have had some discussions with him about the possibility of him joining us on a consultancy basis throughout the campaign. We've got a few dates penciled in. We will hopefully join us. it is a very low-key affair. He's going to be very much in the background. I think really important for him to connect with some of our middle order batters. He's a middle order player of immense experience. He's a World Cup winner. He knows conditions really well in Australia. And I'm really excited by the possibility of him joining us over the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Russell, yeah.
Just see you. Oh, yeah. I'm only joking here.
Russell, just in terms of the balance of the side, through the West Indies series, you played a pretty set format with basically 7 batters, 4 bowlers. In Australasia, with flat pitches and high-scoring games expected, do you foresee any change to that? Do you think you might need 5 specialist bowlers, basically?
I think there are definitely some venues and some teams where you would consider it. I mean, you think of a team like India, where their perceived strength is definitely their batting lineup. They've got some world-class players in the batting lineup, and the MCG is a pretty good batting wicket. So I think bowling strength is going to be important against a size like India's. However, there are obviously games where batters will come under pressure, particularly chasing and having that extra depth in batting. With the perceived length of tail we've got with guys like 9, 10, 11, being more bowlers than all-rounders, I suppose, likes of Dale, Morna and Imran. To have that extra batter at 7 would be a good option for us, particularly in high-pressure games where batting is going to be very important.
Tandok Kamani from SABC Sport. Good afternoon, everyone. My question is to you, AB. Just a quick one. After a very successful series, obviously, with the West Indies, you guys had some time off as well. Just the pressure within the squad and obviously for yourself, after obviously, the milestones that you've been achieving lately, on obviously winning the World Cup. I mean, we've seen the guys try a couple of years before and, it's never been done. How's the guys doing in the squad, and obviously how are you dealing with the pressure as captain and obviously looking after the lads?
Yeah, look, first of all, we're very happy with the series. Like you mentioned, I think we gained a lot of confidence out of that, out of some good performances, not individually, but as a team. Look, the individual performances, I think, is driven by the team at the end of the day. Me scoring that runs at the Wanderers, Hashim scoring his 100s, Dale getting wickets, Imi doing well. Those are all team-driven, and that's the kind of thing we'll be focusing on the World Cup. Yes, we're feeling pressure, and there's no hiding from that. We've never won a World Cup, and it's definitely something that's counting against us. People calling us chokers. There's no hiding from that. We just got to stick together, drive each other as a team, and make sure we win those big pressure situations and big pressure games.
AB, there's so much of talk about peaking at the knockout stages, so much about it. How important is it to not obsess over, should we obviously get to the quarterfinals, and not obsessing over that mental perspective and just focusing on the group stages?
It is important, and we'll definitely be doing that. Look, the group stages, every single game you play, and especially every game you represent South Africa is a big game. We're starting against Zimbabwe, and that's where our focus will be, even the 2 warm-up games before then, to make sure we hit the ground running and we get a bit of form behind us in New Zealand, where we're starting. Look, Zimbabwe is the biggest game for us coming up, and all the group stages games to follow from there. We're not even thinking about the knockouts, even though there's pressure of us having to people expecting us to reach it. We're just going to take it one game at a time, and it'd be silly from us to look too far ahead.
AB, with all your feats that you've had so far, do you anticipate that a lot of teams will see you and make special plans for you and see you as a marked player now? And would you mind just answering that in Afrikaans as well, please?
It's always, look, video analysis and analysing players has always been part of the game, especially since I've come into the side 10 years ago. It's always been around. People always try and find out what the new players do, where the strengths and weaknesses are. I've got my strengths and weaknesses, and I know the guys will have plans against me and all our players in the team for that matter. It's a matter of sticking to your game plan and what you know best, sticking to my strengths, not trying to figure out what the opposition is trying to do, but just make sure that I do the basics well, and that's the same applies for the rest of the team. Afrikaans, it's more difficult to answer in Afrikaans these days. I see the minister speaking Afrikaans better than me now.
Ja, jy moet praat met
kyk, die oppositie gaan planne hê vir al ons spelers, en dis 'n kwessie, dis belangrik vir ons om te fokus op wat ons gedoen, op die basiese punte van die spel, en ek het my sterkpunte en my dele in die spel wat ek nie so goed doen nie, en natuurlijk weet almal in die wêreld daarvan wat ek goed en sleg doen, maar dit is belangrik vir my om seker te maak ek bly by my spelpyl en ek doen wat ek goed doen, en dit is so net om my bes te gee vir die span.
Maybe speak to us about you emotionally. I think we often speak about very long summers and very important summers, and World Cup years are obviously so important, but being here now with the Minister, with Russell, with the World Cup 2015 logo on, I mean, how much more real is it for you now, knowing that you guys are about to jump on a plane, head out there and try and again do what so many South African cricket teams before you have not been able to do?
I'm glad you asked that question. It's a huge honor. It's a breathtaking experience sitting here with the ministers and the coach and the CEO. We've got our president, everyone supporting us, and I feel that support more than ever. I've felt that in the last few months, actually more than ever, with the Protea Fire campaign. People really getting behind us. I've never received so many messages in my life before on my phone, on Twitter, on the news. Everyone just really rooting for us, and it makes a hell of a difference. There's no doubt about it. I'm an emotional guy. I've always played with a lot of pride and passion. I love our country. I love South Africa, and the team is right behind me, and all of them feel that the same way as well. So sitting here today it's not a wake-up call. It's just a huge proud moment for me in my career, and look, we're going to go there to bring that cup home. There's no doubt about it. I think of all the hardship we've been through as a country. I think of the '95 World Cup uniting the country, the AFCON when we won it, and the Rugby World Cup again in 2007, I think, and it's united us so much, and I would love to be part of a group to unite the country once again and get us even tighter than what we've ever been.
Maybe for both you guys, is this going to be a World Cup won by batsmen or by the bowlers?
Well, if you're chasing 500, you're under pressure. So I think it's going to be very much a team effort. I don't think we're a team that doesn't rely on one particular skill. I think if our bowlers let us down a day, which is going to happen, our batters need to help them out, because there are going to be days when the batters let the bowlers down and the bowlers are going to have to help them out. So Australian wickets are such good wickets. It keeps everybody interested. The bowlers have got a chance in the first 15 overs, but the batters have also got a chance after that. So I think it's going to be it's not a bowlers batters World Cup. It's going to be the team that plays consistently as a unified team is going to be the team that comes out on top.
Russell, in previous World Cups, there's I'll try and sit up a bit. In previous World Cups, the Proteas have taken a dedicated mental coach with them. Can you just explain the thinking around this campaign?
We're not taking one. I've tried to approach this World Cup as though we're approaching any other series, and we've been playing really good cricket without the services of a mental coach for the last year and a bit. And why create the anxiety when we've been doing so well without it? So I know it's different. I know it's not a series where you have 5 games to beat a team. You're going to have one-off games to have to beat a side. But I really feel that mentally this team's in as good a space as they've ever been. They've won games in high-pressure situations, under different conditions, at different venues. They've got a real pride in performance. They're passionately led by a captain who plays with his heart in his sleeve. So I think all the blocks are in place to overcome those mental challenges that we are going to face.
Guys, I'm taking last 5 because we're rushing off. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay.
My question's for Russell again. Just to bring you back to the batsman's argument, a lot of teams are scoring high 300s. The other day, New Zealand scored 369. What is our ability in terms of chasing those high scores and defending such scores? Because the West Indies didn't really test us as far as we'll probably need to going into the World Cup.
Look, it's not so long ago that we chased down 330 against Zimbabwe, against Australia. We've defended good scores. We defended 400 against the West Indies. We defended 340 against the West Indies a few days ago. And look, it's just the nature of the game at the moment. With only 4 fielders out for 35 or 40 of the 50 overs, it's become very difficult for bowlers to stop runs. The best way to stop runs is by getting wickets. I think we're fortunate
that we've got a bowling attack that's able to get wickets. Guys like Imran, Dale, Morne, Vernon, Barney, all wicket takers. So that's a big plus for us, the ability to strike in the middle overs and hopefully lessen the damage at the back end. And then in terms of batting, we've got a wonderful top order. Our middle order's really starting to come good. Guys like David Miller, having JP back in the mix gives us such a solid look in our middle order with his experience. So whether we chase or defend scores, in my opinion, is very irrelevant, because you're going to have to do that at some stage of the competition. Our batters are going to be faced with pressure, chasing 280 maybe in a knockout game. Our bowlers are going to be faced with maybe defending 250 in a knockout game. We're just going to have to deal with it like we have over the last year.
Over here, guys. Is the mic on? Junior Steinbank from eNCA. My question's both to Russell and to AB. Is it a fortunate blessing playing in a place, well, in two countries with very large South African populations?
I think so. Yeah, it'd be nice to get some of the South Africans over there to some of the games. Wherever you play around the world, even if you play here, you still got to go out there and win the game. I think the more support you have, the more pressure there's on you. But in saying that, we would love to see some South African faces over there in New Zealand and South Africa, in Australia. It'd be nice to get a bit of a homey feel while we're there. But there's no doubt about the fact that we'll be outnumbered, and we're still going to have to play out of our socks to win games.
Marcel from TVC News. The coach was just speaking about not wanting to crank up the anxiety too much. I'm just fascinated to know that a send-off like the one you're about to get, that would scare the heebie-jeebies out of me. How are the players able then to stay in the zone? And wouldn't you rather just have a ticker tape parade with the cup coming back?
I think the pride and passion that you feel with get-togethers like we're going to have today is much more powerful than the anxiety that we'll feel and the pressure that we'll get from it. There's always pressure in every single game you play. Yes, there will be more pressure in the World Cup. We badly want to bring that trophy back, and that's our focus. But having the support and seeing that kind of passion and seeing the country coming together to send us off and to say that they're behind us, that they're going to be behind us, is much more powerful than that.
Okay, we're taking our last two, Dan and then Krista. And Ken, sorry, we'll keep on you for Ken.
Dan Williams, CCTV News. Question for Russell. Russell, we've been talking lots about the pressure and the mental side of things. It's a key role then for you and for your backroom team to obviously try and keep that pressure off. How are you going to look to achieve that?
Look, I think we've been talking about it for the last couple of months, that every time you put on a green jersey and represents the Africa, you're under pressure. Whether you're playing in a World Cup group game, a quarter-final, whether you're playing in a series in Australia, there's always pressure when you play South Africa because we expect so much from our sportsmen. I'm really trying to downplay the importance of this World Cup. It is massively important. We know that from the public perception, but it's just business as usual for us as far as I'm concerned. I'm hoping my wife still loves me if I come back after the World Cup having not won a World Cup, and I hope she still loves me exactly the same if we come back having won a World Cup. So end of the day, there's so much that happens in life, and there's so many unfortunate people that are, me personally, my happiness as a person shouldn't depend on whether I win a World Cup or not, and that's the type of mantra we have in our side. For sure, it would be great to win it, and we're desperate to win it, and we want to do everything we can to win it, but there are also more important things in life, if that makes a little bit of sense.
Maybe the one guy that will be going over that knows what it takes to win a World Cup is your consultant, Gary Kirsten, who was coach of India the last World Cup. How important a role is he going to play in sort of making you guys understand in those pressure moments what it takes to get through them?
I think he's already done most of his business with us. He's been with us for a while now. He used to be our coach. He's still working closely with Russell. And we've got so much from him in the last few years, really. And to have him there, it's more of a presence thing, I think. And to be there for certain individuals to have a chat to every now and then. But his presence plays a big role. And having achieved what he has in the past, obviously plays a role, but just to have him around with that kind of experience and the nice guy that he is. Russell answered that question so well about your happiness shouldn't depend on success. And he's that kind of guy, he brings that to the party. So the guys will definitely feed off that. I don't think he'll make too big of a deal about all the games that we're going to play, and it's more just focusing on what we do well and still keeping our feet on the ground, working hard at our game.
Final question, Ken.
AB, Russell mentioned the difficulties in limited overs cricket at the moment at the end with just 4 fielders out and that. And there seems to have been a perception created that there may be some mixed messages at the moment about tactics in terms of bowling in those last 10 overs. I believe you had a batting session against the South African bowlers where they bowled against you and you sort of gave them feedback on what you were thinking as a batsman and that sort of thing. If you could just give some sort of idea of what your message is to the South African bowlers as a batsman, what you're trying to do in those last 10.
Yeah, the main thing well, I did have that session, yes, and it was really good. I think a lot of good stuff came out of that session. The main message of the day was you got to be able to read the situation and try and get behind what the batter's trying to do. I'm not the same as most batters. Every batter is different, and it's a matter of really having an instinct of knowing what the batter's trying to do at a specific time. And I gave them everything I had and the thinking that was going through my mind while they're running in. And it all made a lot of sense. So I've seen a big improvement over the last while. Russell will agree with me. Bowlers definitely think in a different way. And it's all great signs for us going to the World Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Just to let you all know that for those print media who would like a working room to file your stories, to our right-hand side, there's a working room set up for you. Second.
Yeah, sorry, just to interrupt the press conference, breaking news. Just the last point I wanted to say, which you have asked, which is very important. I think it's good for them, but equally it's about the nation. I think as South Africans, we must be a nation, a sporting nation that we are. Accept that when we go to tournaments and competitions, we can win or lose. And I think the best thing for us is to criticize when we perform below par. And I think our team must take that to heart. If they don't perform through the expectation of the nation, I think we should be able to raise our voice and say that you did not do as we would have expected as a nation. But as a nation, I really want to thank all South Africans for being there to support our national teams, because it is through that we find our soul and we actually find each other through nation building. Without these gentlemen and all other sporting codes, with due respect, this nation will not be having a soul to breathe. And the sports is very much important to us. And that is why from the beginning, we said that there is no team that will be sent off to a national, international competition without being sent properly to understand that they are going to represent the nation. Because probably if you send people internationally to go and represent, they think that is a jolly ride. But they need to leave the country with a proper understanding that they are representing a country. And AB and them have done it all over and over again. I've got no doubt in my mind that they are going to compete and they've got all the capabilities to bring the World Cup home. But if they don't, it will just add up to the disappointments that we have heard. But the fact that they've got the capability to bring it home, that must never be in doubt, because this is not a team of minnows. Neither must it get into their head and make them to be complacent. When I said in jest, don't be like sheikhs, because when we won friendlies and qualified excellently, we thought we have arrived. That must not get into our head. The real competition, I like it, AB and the coach, is when you start with Zimbabwe. Remember in Bangladesh, we were knocked out by New Zealand, Alan Donald. And the fact of the matter is that now we are going, and every game, every team in the World Cup is important. And a tournament is different from any other, because there's nobody who leaves home with a belief that even the lousiest loser that you know, he never leaves with the conclusion that I'm preparing to go and win, to lose in this tournament. No, there's nobody. Neither does anyone who says that I'm not going to win. So you must never be afraid and be a coward to shout the name win. If you lose, we will see that you tried. But for now, go and do the battle. A coward is the one who says before he leaves, hey, I'm not sure, we are going to try, but it's fine, and all of that. No, we must have the spirit and the courage and the capabilities. And our team does have the capabilities. And I want to say it for millions of our people, guys, go and do us proud. And you've got all the capabilities. Fight for your pride, fight for your nation, and make this great nation proud. We've got many challenges. You're leaving us here now, we've got load shedding, but it will be on, and so on. But remember, when you play, we even forget about load shedding. So please go and make this country proud. And we know that in you, we've got warriors who can fight. And AB, I'm not patronizing you when I say this. And you should have not been here when I say it. But I've never, even on a single day, seen you, friendly or no friendly, not fighting in whatever position that you've got. Test match, whatever, one day, T20, you always give your best performance. And I'm happy for you to be the captain of the team, because captain of the team is performance and leadership skills, and you've got all that. It might make you to be under pressure, but it's okay. We will only come to New Zealand and Australia if you get to the final. We will not come. I want to assure South Africans, I'm not going to New Zealand, and neither will I approve the deputy minister to go. If you go to the semi-finals, we'll come. Yes. And then when you stay for the finals, we'll still be there. That will be good for the nation. I'm not saying to you, go and win the World Cup. I'm saying, go and represent and fight for South Africa. Don't allow any game to go without fighting. You are not going to play against robots. And leave the fact that Donald and Klusner missed an important opportunity. Leave it. If it was meant for us, it will come. But do what you are supposed to do. You've got all our support. And we know we are not supporting a bunch of losers. We are supporting winners who are going to make us proud. Go and do it for South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Mr. Minister. So like I said, guys, for those who want to file, there's a room there. There's dedicated camera positions. For those who don't have a dedicated camera position, there's a CSA rep who will take you to a vantage point on the balconies in the piazza, so you can get some aerial shots. There's also audio feeds. We'll see you that side. The program starts at 1 o'clock on the stage. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.